Hi everyone, it's Katrina! From the cutest octopus to the mighty hunter of Madagascar, here are 10 animals you should definitely know about. Number 10. Dumbo Octopus. The Dumbo Octopus is known as the world's cutest octopus. As part of the Grimpoteuthis family, they are famous for their large fins on their head that look like huge ears. They use them to propel through the water and steer their way through water currents, hence the name Dumbo Octopus, because it looks like they can fly. There are some 13 recognized species of Dumbo Octopus, and they vary widely in size, mostly around 8 inches, but one was spotted that was almost 6 feet long. These cuties with their large eyes look almost cuddly, but they are rarely seen because they live in very deep water, 9,800 to 13,000 feet, with some living as deep as 23,000 feet below sea level. They are known as the deepest living of all octopus species. They tend to live on tiny creatures that hang out on the ocean floor, and they live pretty relaxed lives. There aren't many predators to worry about, so unlike many other types of octopus, they don't even have an ink sac. When they spot prey, they will jump on it, swallowing it whole. We don't know that much more about them, so scientists are hoping to learn more as we explore deeper waters. Number 9. The Babirusa. Swine aficionados rejoice because the Babirusa is one of the most interesting and iconic pigs in the entire world. When you take a look at these pigs, you'll understand why so many people love them and are fascinated by them. They have a distinctive, almost prehistoric look, and their giant tusks extend out from the bottom of their mouths and curve up into the air. These tusks are overgrown upper canine teeth, which protrude downward from the snout and curve in an upward direction, sometimes even growing back into the animal's skull, cutting its skin. You can only find these animals on islands far removed from most of the world, which is why they evolved separately from other pigs that we see. They can be found in herds in the isolated forests on Indonesian islands like Sulawesi, where the most popular species of Babirusa lives, Togian and Sula. No one is quite sure why these swine have such large tusks. They only belong to males, and they don't seem to use them in fights. Maybe it's just a way to look attractive to the ladies. And now for a sea creature that flies. But first, big shout out to Rem del Rosario and Cloudberry. Thanks so much for all the love to the channel. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe and join the Origins Explained family. Number 8. Flying squid. Of course, we've heard of the giant squid by now, but have you heard of the flying squid? It might sound like something straight out of science fiction, but there are some species of squid out there in the world which are actually capable of flying above the water. This just goes to show how much we have left to understand about Earth's oceans, as well as the animals that live under the sea. There were rumors for years, but in 2013, they were finally caught on camera. If we haven't been able to see a squid flying for this long, then what else might we be missing? Generally, these squid go from swimming and then jump into the air to start flying. As they're moving along, they'll open up to bring water inside and then blast it down to propel themselves into the air. Then they spread their bodies outward to act as wings. In fact, they are capable of arranging their tentacles in an aerodynamic fashion so as to create a gliding phenomenon that shares the same features as a good paper airplane. They'll often fly at around 25 miles per hour, and they're not doing so with wild abandon either. They maneuver their bodies in such a way that they can direct and change course mid-air. Scientists have seen over 20 of these squids gliding together at a time. They can glide up to 36.8 feet per second and remain in the air for about 3 seconds, covering 98 feet per flight. It's not clear why they do this, but scientists think maybe they are trying to escape predators, like flying fish do. Hopefully, we'll find out more about these squid in the future. Number 7. Marcor. The Marcor might just be the most impressive and majestic goat on the planet. They're often referred to as the screw-horned goat because, well, their horns look like giant corkscrews attached to the top of their heads. Looking at some of the most impressive examples, you definitely think that this goat could unscrew a pretty big bottle of wine if given the opportunity. They can be found in Central Asia and the Western Himalayas. Given their royal demeanor, they've been declared as the national animal of Pakistan. Their name comes from the connection of 2 words in Persian, mar, which means snake, and kor, which means eater. So their name means snake eater. This is because legend would have it that Marcors are seasoned snake killers and eaters. Once they've chewed them up, they allegedly release a foamy liquid saliva which dries on the ground. This is sought after as a kind of anti-venom for snake bites. They're also the biggest species of wild goats in the world, weighing up to 242.5 pounds. Females of the species will live in packs of up to 100 goats, and the males will occasionally join them for mating season. They are also well adapted to the mountainous terrain where they live. Have you ever seen one of these? Let me know in the comments below. Number 6. Royal Flycatcher. The royal flycatcher can oftentimes look like an average bird, but occasionally it lets its true colors shine. Hidden on top of its head is a hammerhead crest, which the royal flycatcher sometimes raises to reveal a beautiful display of colorful plumage. For example, this one releases its hammerhead crest to reveal the beautiful orange-colored feathers adorned with polka dots and bordered by white spikes. However, the royal flycatcher doesn't reveal these colors all that often. Instead, this rare bird usually appears as an unassuming shade of brown as it flies around the lowland forests of the Americas it calls home. You will tend to see them hanging out at the midline of the forest canopy, looking frantically for insects on which to feed. One other interesting feature of the royal flycatcher is the nature of their nests. They are around 3 feet long and pretty patched together. They tend to construct their nests on the edges of tree branches, and they'll often hang down into the streams over which they're built. Number 5. Gooey Ducks. With a name like Gooey Ducks, it has to be good. It's spelled like geoduck, but it's pronounced gooey duck. When you first lay your eyes on the creatures, you might be confused. Is this some sort of sea snail, or maybe a new instrument I haven't heard about? Actually, the gooey duck is a kind of giant clam that people say is one of the most delicious mollusks ever. I haven't personally tried one, have you? Just in case you were wondering, they are not related to ducks. They're not the biggest clams in the world. That title belongs to the appropriately named giant clam, but they are unique because their shell is only a small part of their bodies. Even though their shells only tend to be around 8 inches long, their bodies can grow to be over a yard long. They're what's known as a burrowing clam, which means that they dig holes into the sandy ocean floor and use their neck to filter water into their shells. Also, they burrow deep. If you're perusing the ocean floor, the only thing you'll see are the geoduck's 2 filtering holes peeking up from the ground, described as if you are looking into the barrel of a shotgun. The rest of them is way under. Chefs apparently love them. Have you ever seen one of these before? Or eaten one? Let me know in the comments below. Number 4. Fosa. The fosa is one of those rare animals that only lives in Madagascar, making it very unique and endangered. It's very closely related to the mongoose, but it's perhaps less well known than its popular cousin. But that should change because the fosa has a lot of intriguing characteristics that other animals don't have. Plus, it doesn't have a lot in common with the mongoose. At first glance, it looks more like a weird cat than anything else. The fosa is a dangerous creature in Madagascar. It's actually considered to be the biggest meat eater and most fearsome predator on the island. It'll go after whatever gets in its way. Even though it only weighs around 26 pounds max, it'll take on animals as big as wild pigs. It does so by using its claws and sharp teeth. However, they usually stick to taking down lemurs. Scientists know that fosas are smart creatures, and fast too. They use their slender frames to move around the forest with ease, their balance aided by their long tails, which can take up around half of their 6-foot length. They make fun sounds too, making them seem even more like cats. They'll often purr when they're young. Number 3. Darwin bark spider. Darwin's bark spiders haven't been known to us for very long. Scientists only announced their discovery in 2009. But since they came onto the scene, they've shocked everyone who learns about them with their incredible features. For one thing, they're well known to produce the biggest orb web of any spider on the planet. It can get up to 4,340 square inches big. Can you imagine running into one of these? Yikes! Unsurprisingly, they discovered this spider in Madagascar, which is, as you know, a hub of unique biological activity. Most impressive, however, is the strength of the silk that Darwin's bark spiders produce. The silk that they make is 10 times more durable than Kevlar, which is the material that they use to make bulletproof vests. That makes it the strongest material naturally produced by a biological organism in the world. So they make the biggest and the strongest webs in the world. They're breaking all kinds of records. Their webs are so long that they often make them across rivers. It's unclear how they accomplish this Herculean feat. In order to research them, scientists often have to use boats because it's the only way to get near them and really see what they're up to. How do you think they get across the river? Let me know in the comments below. Number 2. Dolores the Bear. When you first feast your eyes upon Dolores, you might be unsure what to make of her. Is it a new breed of dog? Is it a sick coyote? Or maybe a giant rat? Well, I've got you covered. Dolores is actually a bear that doesn't have a hair on her body. Strangely enough, Dolores is a hairless bear that lives at the Leipzig Zoo. She's not a new species, but there's also a mysterious element to Dolores' predicament. No one can explain why she's hairless. Also, Dolores isn't the only hairless bear in Leipzig. All of the other female bears inside the zoo also lost their hair at roughly the same time. This has researchers scratching their heads for a satisfying answer. For reference, take a look at what these bears look like when they have all of their hair. A few bear researchers think that Dolores and her female friends might all be the victim of some as yet misunderstood genetic disorder, but there doesn't seem to be anything else wrong with them. These hairless bears have been very popular among zoo attendees, but they should probably give these bears some space so they can de-stress for a while. Stress is certainly a factor for hair loss. Number 1. Axolotl. Axolotls are adorable little water salamanders with a ton of interesting features. For one thing, they hold on to a lot of the characteristics they have when they're young. This is called neoteny, and it enables them to maintain their dorsal fin, which many similar animals let go of at birth. They also keep their odd gills on the outside of their bodies, which have a feathery texture, yet another holdover from their younger years. So, axolotls are pretty much in a state of arrested development for their entire lives. Given their unique nature, it should come as no surprise that they only live in a single lake complex in the wild called Xochimilco, which is near Mexico City, and they don't really like to leave. They are highly endangered, and most of the ones you see, or may even have as a pet, was most likely bred in captivity, or at least hopefully. Most members of this species opt to stay in the lakes forever, although some occasionally make it above the water. Their gills help them along the way, which sets them apart from most other salamanders. Perhaps most interesting of all, axolotls are capable of growing their limbs back at a moment's notice. That makes them a prime target of scientific research. Have you ever had one of these as a pet? Let me know in the comments. Let's hold out hope for these interesting creatures to make it into the future in the wild. Thanks for watching! What's your favorite animal from this video? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to stay updated on all of our newest videos. See you soon! Bye!